Hey everyone, Isaac here with some exciting updates on the 15,000 trading challenge. We have seen some incredible moves in the market, and I've been right in the thick of it, sharing every step, the wins, the losses, and also the learning moments. Now, join me as I dive into the latest strategies, some market insights, and see how far I've pushed the envelope. Whether you are in for a thrill or looking to learn, this update is packed with genuine trading experiences that you won't want to miss. The first thing that I would like to say is that um, for those who don't know me, my name is Isaac Jonas, and I like to talk about money. Why do I like to talk about money? For me, making money allows me to be able to have the freedom to, let's say, if I want to travel, if I want to, I'm currently based in Canada. I've written a book. Some of you probably may have seen this. I chronicle my experience there. And also throughout these experiences that I'm learning in trading, I've also written another book that I'm planning to have published this year. So I'll keep you updated. I dived into this journey of content creation by accident. I remember I lost my job, and one thing that I also then remembered was that I had to find ways to support my family. And, with the background in economics, I then realized like, well, maybe let me start trading to take trading seriously. But before I dived into the trading, the first thing that I did was I actually had to take time to just learn. I remember signing up for a course, and that's something that I've learned that sometimes you have to pay money to learn. And I was mostly trading options, which are something that are quite interesting. But then I then realized that options, whilst they were good and I made a bit of money, more than I lost, they are highly volatile. And I wanted something that would give me a consistent income without the stress of potentially losing the money. So I started learning as much online, reading books about trading, but more importantly, just waking up, observing some specific securities that I am now trading. And over the time, I realized that there are some certain patterns, and I started kind of like backtesting the data and without using my money until I then started trading. Now, I then started realizing that instead of doing options, I can actually get the leverage aspect in the sense that I could trade what are called leveraged ETFs. And the brokerage that I use in Canada here, the advantage is that if I buy most exchange traded funds, leveraged ETFs, or even other ETFs, but I like leveraged ETF, and I will explain that the reason why in a second is that when I buy them, I'm not charged fees because when I'm trading, let's say if you make $100 and if you are paying $40 for fees, then it reduces my profitability. So I realized that with my broker that I was using for the options, I was paying a lot of money on fees. So with leveraged ETFs, if let's say if it's leveraged 2 times and it tracks, let's say NVIDIA as an example, there's a leveraged ETF and it's leveraged 2 times. It means if NVIDIA goes up by 10%, the upside in that case could be 20%. If it goes down similarly by 20%, conversely rather, then it means the loss, if you don't have a stop loss, could be amplified twice. But that's what options do in a way that they can potentially amplify the losses and the gains. So I then got that. But the good thing is that if I'm holding shares, sometimes I can just hold if it's something that I believe also that maybe it's also fundamentally strong, but it's just a fluctuation. But with options, there's the decay factor, and if the trade is wrong for that within that time frame, let's say the option expires in a day or 2 days, then it means the money is gone, right? But that's why I moved away from options to doing leveraged ETF. Now, like I said, I then realized that there was some consistent pattern of profitability because about 90% of all traders, statistically, they blow 90% of their accounts within the first 90 days, right, of starting trading. So I then decided to take trading profitably. So in this example, I'm choosing to just show you one of my accounts that I choose to just share publicly, just not to brag. Of course, I'm sure there are a lot of other people who are making quite a lot of money, but to just share my experiences. Maybe there are some people who can learn one or two things, or even share with me other better options that I could consider also learning about. So, but trading comes with risks, and I always like to say, to be transparent about this, to say, look, I am not an investment advisor, and what I'm sharing with you here is just some experiences. I'm not saying you should trade using my methods necessarily, but the idea is that I'm not a financial advisor. Trading comes with risks and losses. While I'm risking my money, some people may not have the same risk tolerance. So that's something that is very, very important. And my results may not be the same with yours, because what happens is that when I'm trading, sometimes there are moments, if you are not at a point where you understand what's really going on, the trade might go sideways. But if I understand why I'm taking the trade, I'm able to hold in maybe for a day or 2, 3 days or even more without stressing. Because for me, the most important thing is for me to be peaceful. If I take a trade, I can just put my stop loss to say if it drops or if it goes up, kick me out, I'm done, right? But I'm not gonna be worried about, what's gonna happen, what if it doesn't, because I already done my analysis. Now, if you have been following this challenge, you see that from last week, I showed you my account. I had, the first loss last week. And what happened was that I decided to exit the position that I had because there was the incoming Trump administration. And I anticipated that when I got into that position, I was anticipating that by the end of the week, maybe the market could have possibly given me some profits, but that was not the case. So I decided to just exit the position for a small loss, right? You can see the loss here was like $55.45 Canadian dollars. These are Canadian dollars, right? And what then happened was that, for sure enough, the market really went up when President Trump was inaugurated. But because I trade the VIX, which is mostly tracking the volatility index, which usually goes in opposite, to say when the market drops, it then goes up. That's how I make money. And sometimes when the market goes down, it goes up, and that's how I have been tracking and observing this. Now, I do trade some equities like companies like Tesla and NVIDIA, but I trade the leveraged ETFs, right? So I do technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and when they get to a certain level, usually when the equities market drop, then I get into the equities. But I usually take the profits from the VIX. If I got in at a good point, take the profits, part of the profits, and then buy positions in equities. But you can see here that this was last week. I had made almost 1,945 $46, right, in a month. And that was a return of about, I think, 8.91%. But you see that this week I didn't make a lot of money in this account, because you can see that there is a marginal increase, which is still good, because when I'm trading, the most important thing is to limit the losses. So regardless of the fact that here I managed to grow the account by, let's say, just above 100 Canadian dollars in this week. But that's a gain, right? It's not a loss, because what happens is that to be a profitable trader, you should be able to say the expected value of the losses that you make times the number of trades that you make, right? And then the wins, right? Times the number of trades that you make, then that should give you 100%, right? But the thing is, if you lose more than you gain, then you end up losing money. So for me, the key thing here is that I've been consistent, and within 1 month overall, I would say I have this is the realized profit so far. I've grown my account with 9.46, right? So this is still something that is positive. Now, if I was to then withdraw this money, then I would have made 2,600, which is more like how many people make $2,665 in a month? And this is something that I'm just doing maybe 2 or 3 hours of my day, maybe sometimes 1 hour, right? And then I'm done and I'm focusing on other things. And I'm mostly sometimes, swing trading. So this is something that I'm doing part-time in this sense. But I end up doing other things, researching stocks that I want to invest in for the long term. Now, you can see that I am now all in cash, right? So I liquidated my position. Usually over the weekend, I want to be in cash. Why do I want to be in cash? A lot of things can possibly happen over the weekend. But as a trader, I want to be in control to know like, okay, I'm taking this trade. I want to get in at this point and I want to get out. But if, let's say, I get in at this point, on Monday, let's say there's something disastrous that happens, right? And I have an equity position. Let's say I am in stocks, right? And when I'm trading, I'm doing this for short term. It means, let's say I wake up, maybe the market is down 5, 10, 20%. What that means is that my money, I would be down by that amount. If I had, let's say, S&P 500 is down by 20%, means I would be down 20%. But if I am on cash, now the market does not always go up in a straight line. It goes up and down in waves. So what I could then do is I could do some analysis, factor in information on Monday before the market opens. Usually, sometimes if the market drops so much, sometimes it goes up. It doesn't go up in a straight line completely, right? So sometimes, like I said, so I like to kind of be careful on my trading positions. I like to play defensive, right? When I see an opportunity, I'm offensive. I get in, I get the money. But I like to be in control. So having cash helps me to be in control because I can choose to buy and not to buy and just not to participate. Now, that requires emotional uh, stability and also some patience. I like to just keep track of my trades and I just hid some of the stuff because the space was limited here. So you can see that some of the trades I didn't take much trades this week. You can see here, right? I also had like 2 losses. And the reason why I exited this, like I said, sometimes you realize, okay, I think this was a wrong trade, right? I got in at the wrong time. So far, I made 2 other losses, and you can see that I lost about $1 and $4.50, right? So at the end of the day, these are in US dollars, right? So when you convert the money, then you can and plus the fees and stuff, then you can see the profit. When you see the profit there, it does not include the fees. So at the end of the day, I think the most important thing that I'm learning here, you see that I have been paying almost, let me see here. I have paid, this number is not correct actually, but the bottom line is I've been paying some money for fees. It's like 155 US dollars, $156. And then the profit that I had made in US dollars is, almost 1,200 US dollars in this almost, I think it's now 5 weeks. But the thing is, the probability of success here, my probability of success here is, let's say in this case, roughly 87%. So it means in this case, out of the 23 trades that I took, 20 of them I was right, 3 of them I lost money. And these are the uh, losses that I made, right? The 3 trades. And one of them was like $88, right? That I lost. But like I said, at the end of the day, you want to make more money than you lose. Now, and the key thing I'm also learning now is that It's very important to understand the macroeconomics. With the Trump administration now, you wake up, there's an executive order. That's why I like to be mostly in cash. Now, I like to have a trading plan, entry and exit strategy. And you see that in this case, I'm not worried, let's say, if it goes down 20, 30% whilst I have, but I like to have a stop loss, entry and exit point. So that means I will have a predetermined amount that I'm okay to lose. So if it's $200, I'm okay to lose $200 to make $300 as an example, right? That means if I'm right, I would make $300. If I'm wrong, I lose $200 as an example. Now, you see that it's not that easy because quite sometime I know that I've taken this trade and sometimes it's slightly in the red, but my mind will be like, oh, should I be exiting? But then now I've learned to say, look, as long as I have predetermined that I want to exit at this point and enter at this point and exit at this point, it's still within the trading plan. But that doesn't mean that I should not or I do not sometimes change, be flexible because there are some moments, let's say if I see the profit, what I do is I then put a trailing stop loss to say if it keeps on going up, I keep on making money. And then if it drops, then it kicks me out. I mean, in the brokerage account. So these are the updates that I wanted to share with you to say, hey, this is exciting journey, but for me, I'm more excited about next week, right? So that's the purpose of life. I wake up, I'm looking forward to say, okay, next week, how much money am I going to make out of this account? If I'm able to make, let's say, X amount, I'm not really specifically looking to make, let's say this amount. I take what the market gives me. That's okay for me because that will not give me, I will not give myself pressure to say, oh, I should take this trade because that would mean that would help me hit my target. Now, I only want to take trades that I'm confident that I would win. And now I have some methods that I use and technical analysis to say if it gets to this point and I'm realizing that, well, if I follow those rules, my chances of success, they're actually higher, right? And with time, I will refine those methods. I thought I would share these insights with you, and I hope you find this helpful. And if you would like to chat with me to learn how to trade, feel free to let me know. I have a weekly newsletter that I send out to readers, and I share about what I think about what's happening in the market, and also see the episode for the podcast where we do a deep dive on what we see in the market, which caught blooming. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so that you don't miss yet another exciting episode of updates. Thank you so much for being part of this journey, and I'll see you in the next video. And I like to say, trade and invest wisely, and may the markets be on your side. Bye bye for now.